All right, let's talk about a few things that you will need to create this very soft, lifted and diffused look. I have created many versions of this look on my channel. I will link them down below. One of my most viral videos is a version of this very classic and simple technique that I use. You'll see me use this in most of my videos, no matter what colors I use. The great thing about this technique is you can switch up the colors. If you want to go deeper, if you want to use fun shades, neutrals, you can literally do this with any color in your collection. I use one brush to complete this look. As usual, I like to keep things very simple, and it's just a classic eyeshadow brush. This one's very old. It's from Marc Jacobs, and you can see it's just that flat eyeshadow brush, but it does have a little bit of diffusion to it. It's not so densely packed that you can't have movement. So you want something that's got a little bit of that traditional shape, but also has some slight fluffiness to it. This is one I like to use from Revie Beauty. You can see it's a little bit longer, and it also is a little bit more of a fluffier version. I kind of just like to use this one when I'm working with an eyeliner only. You can see I just use it with my really dark brown eyeliner to give more of a diffuse style look. But just to give you a couple of examples, I will have current and available products listed down below that are similar to these, because I know you can't get the Marc Jacobs brush anymore. I'm a creature of habit. I still have my original Real Techniques brushes from 12, 13 years ago. Moving on, let's talk about shades. Again, you can use any color that you would like. So keep in mind, I am talking shades right now. I'm not necessarily talking colors. Obviously, I'm going to be using neutral wearable colors. I think they're just the easiest to demonstrate with. The first thing you're going to need is a darker shade. So you could use a dark navy, a dark brown, a black. It's really just going to depend on your skin tone and the style of look that you're going for. So I'm going to use my tried and true Cocoa Caviar stick from Mercier. This is what I use in all of my demos. I think it's one of the most practical and easy to use eyeshadow sticks and just eyeshadows in general. So you will always catch me demoing with the Laura Mercier Cocoa. So this is my darker shade that I'm going to be demoing with. And then your secondary shade is just something that you can use to really brighten up that inner corner. You don't even have to use anything. Sometimes I literally just go in with my darker shade and I leave that inner portion of my eye bare if I want a really classic, sleek look. Today I'm going to be using my M161 from Mob Beauty. This is kind of like a secret palette. This was my prototype palette. So when we were demoing the shades and testing the shades for my secondary launch, these were some of the ones that we were trying out. You can see we've got a nice little olive green on here that never saw the light of day. I hope she does eventually one day. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. My M161 is what I have on my inner corner right here. If you are not into shimmer, you could use something that is matte. This is a really good option I like to demo with a lot. It's called Shore from Bobbi Brown. So something that's got like a soft vanilla hue to it, just depending on what your skin tone is. If you have a deeper complexion, you might want to go with like a soft taupe. Chances are you know it looks good on you, so I'm not here to coach you on that. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I personally just like to go ahead and get my lighter shade out of the way. So I'm going to take my M161 here, and I'm literally just going to use my finger to apply this. Very simple, very easy, no fuss. This really isn't even a part of my technique. It just enhances the look overall, I think, to give you a little bit of light and a little bit of brightness in that inner corner area. All right, I think we are good to go on placement for our lighter, or kind of just like our standout shade. The first thing I want to talk about when working with deeper shades, I think the first mistake people make is just applying too much. It's important to keep in mind, no matter how small or large your eye area is, we are still technically working with a smaller space. And so I think sometimes people jump the gun with darker colors and they just throw on really quickly, and then all of a sudden you have too much product. It's always easier to add to than it is to take away. So since I have a smaller hooded lid shape, this is a tip I would recommend if you have an eye shape similar to me. If you have larger round eyes, you don't necessarily have to do this. So now we're going to go into our darker shade, and I work with Caviar sticks and shadow sticks that are darker as if they were an eyeliner. I do also have an eyeliner here because I said you can also technically just use an eyeliner, but I just feel like there's more flexibility in a shadow stick. If you find that you don't get longevity with shadow sticks, you could definitely use an eyeliner for this same technique. I just like having the flexibility and movement. So I technically use this like an eyeliner. And what I do is I go in with a very small amount, and that's a key point I want you to keep in mind. Some people go in with these shadow sticks and they just swipe over the lid. No, 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 honey. We are going to be in crisis mode if you get this all over the lid, because keep in mind, no matter if you have larger, rounder eyes or smaller almond, we're still working with a small surface area here. So what I like to do is take this darker shade, and since I do have more hooded almond shape eyes, I do not carry this stick all the way into my inner corner. If you have a larger, rounder eye, you could definitely do that. It's really not going to affect your overall look. This is specifically just for smaller hooded lid people. So if you carry that all the way in, it closes your eye off. It makes your eye look smaller. So we want to give the illusion, you can see I've stopped right here on this eye, that we have a larger, rounder eye. So what I do is I take that darker shade and then I go in with my flatter diffuse brush and I just start diffusing it out almost as if it were an eyeliner. And then I will start to carry this up almost as if I am going to create a winged liner look with this. Now you will find, I mean, if you look at my eye right here, it does not look like I have winged eyeliner on. So I don't want to give you the misconception that I'm creating a winged liner look. I'm just almost repeating the motion that you would if you wanted to carry, like, let's just say you had a pencil, like a pencil or an eyeliner, and you were doing a winged liner. That's the motion that I want you to get down. It's almost just like this straight-handed motion. And what it does is it elongates the shadow outward to give a little bit more of a lifted appearance. And you can do this as softly or as dark as you want. Like sometimes if it's nighttime and I want a little bit more drama, I'll go in with some more. And the key is diffusion here. You want to work in really small applications and then just diffuse outward. It is literally so easy. It's soft, it's elegant, it's not too much, it's not too little. You know what I mean? It's just like that perfect amount. And then I just like to take the excess, whatever's left on the brush, and I connect it to that lower lash line. I personally do not like a ton of eyeshadow on my lower lash line. I just don't have the eye shape and the eye size to carry that extra weight on my lower lash line. So I always just use my excess to give a little bit more drama for that lower lash line, and I connect the bottom to it. Honestly, guys, I wish there was more to tell you, but this is it. It's simple diffusion. It's like a faux liner. And sometimes I do just take my finger, I just did it off camera. You can see where it's sharper right here. I do take my finger and I'll like clean it up. Again, we're almost going for that faux winged look, but when you look head on, no winged eyeliner. Of course, mascara adds to that lifted factor, so I am going to apply my mascara, and I also kind of keep that same strategy with my mascara. I apply the majority on the outer portion because I kind of want a flared look. Sometimes I leave my inner lashes just totally bare because I like that flared dramatic look, and I just feel like it makes my eyes look so much larger. All right, I think that's it. I mean, this seriously takes me less than 5 minutes to complete on a regular basis. Again, if you're kind of new with eyeshadows or you just don't do your eyes daily, this might take some practice. But once you get those really small fundamentals down, I think that this could be a very classic, easy look for you, especially if you just struggle with daily eyeshadow. You just have to have one brush, 2 eyeshadows at the most. You could literally just work with the darker shade if you wanted to in the beginning and then add on when you feel more comfortable. Important things to keep in mind: start with really small amounts, really small application amounts, really small strokes. That goes with like your brush strokes. You could see when I was using my little brush, I was just almost doing like tapping motions. So you don't necessarily have to do, you know, your swirl or Very small tapping motions, very small strokes, just to get a really soft diffused look. Second reminder, if you have small hooded lids, do not carry your darker shadow really far inward. It just closes off your eye. If you wanted like a really sultry, smoky look, that's when you would go in and do that. But I like a very just kind of like bright, lifted look for my daily signature look. And so this is how I've always done it. I've always stopped midway. If anything, I diffuse a small amount inward, but I never carry that darker shade all the way in. Lastly, always just have the mindset of up, always drawing that brush up, diffusing upwards, back and forth, small taps. We are carrying it upward. You don't want to do downward. You don't want to do straight. We are aiming to lift that eye area. I am going to link down below all of my previous eyeshadow references where I do educational style videos. I have easiest eyeshadow technique. I have eyeshadow tips for hooded lids specifically. I have how to use cream eyeshadows. It's just like there's a whole host on my channel, and I just felt like it was time for a refresher course because this is how I've been doing my eyeshadow for probably the past like 6 or 7 years. This is just like an updated version. Like I said, I like to do covers of my own look. So I hope you enjoyed this. If I left something out or if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.